Raynae Williams is with the South Georgia Pride community, and she's going to come and talk to us a little bit about effectively reaching out to that community. Raynae.
Hello. Kind of wrote something here, kind of telling about some issues that are affecting the LGBT community here in Georgia. Well, my name is Raynae Williams. I am a mother, a beekeeper, a Democrat, the Assistant Executive Director for a local nonprofit organization, and I'm also a lesbian. My labels all define who I am, but the last one that I mentioned is the main one that many politicians focus on. My relationship of 8.5 years is no different than anyone else's, with the exception that in the state of Georgia, state employees' jobs are in jeopardy. There is no protection against hate crimes, and my relationship has no legal recognition, all because of sexual orientation. Recently in Atlanta, a community heard testimonies on behalf and against House Bill 630. That's the LGBT Workplace Protection Bill. This bill would prevent Georgia government agencies to discriminate based on an employee's sexual orientation or gender identity. This bill would protect 174,000 employees working for the state of Georgia. It would bring the state of Georgia employment policies in line with the policies of 24 other states and the District of Columbia. It would also bring Georgia in line with over 150 of Georgia's largest employers, 13 local municipalities, and 10 state universities. It does not, however, address private employment in Georgia. This bill is supported by 76% of Georgia voters. But the other week, this bill that had been introduced with 70 sponsors and co-sponsors, 57 Democrats, 12 Republicans, and 1 independent. It was met with opposition. Tanya Diddy, State Director for the anti-gay group Concerned Women for America, testified urging committee members to oppose the bill. She compared LGBT citizens to, quote, pedophilia, transsexuality, zoophilia, and necrophilia. She also stated, and quote, we do not believe the government should have a special protected minority class. It was tabled with a 3-2 vote. Those voting against the bill was Stephen Allison, a Republican, Billy Maddox, Republican, and Randy Nix, Republican. Those voting to oppose the tabling of the bill were Mary Margaret, Democrat, and Pam Stevenson, also a Democrat. Here in Georgia, there is no hate crime law. Georgia is only one of 5 states without a hate crime law. Hate crime legislation passed in Georgia in 2000. However, the language did not include categories. Therefore, the new law was challenged in court. It was overturned by the Georgia Supreme Court in 2004. The definition of a hate crime was determined to be too vague. Hate crime legislation has been introduced every year since 2004. And every year it has included categories, including sexual orientation and gender identity. The legislation has failed to pass it despite having broad support, including GBI Director Vernon Keenan, several religious organizations, national and international police organizations. So why does Georgia still need a hate crime law since the passing of the 2009 Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crime Prevention Act? Well, number one, the new federal law does not apply to state criminal charges, only to felonies. A majority of the hate crimes cannot be prosecuted under the federal law. Number two, state law could require statistic tracking. Statistics provide critical information to prevent and combat hate crimes. The 2009 federal hate crime law does not require local law enforcement agencies to track and report statistics. And if Georgia had a hate crime legislation, additional state resources would be provided to local law enforcement agencies for officer training, statistic tracking, and investigating hate crimes. So please call or email your state lawmaker and urge them to support hate crime legislation and the House Bill 630. And the other concern for LGBT citizens in Georgia is that our federal rights are being denied. Right now, on hard issues, they want to use scare tactics. They want to vilify LGBT relationships and blame us for the demise of the traditional marriage. Well, I'm sorry, but at this point, I guess I must apologize for ruining Newt Gingrich's first 2 marriages. It was a lesbian's fault after all, right? Well, they want to make it a religious issue, but that's not what it is. What's happening is civil rights are being denied. 1,138 federal rights and protections are granted to married couples, not to lesbians, gays, who want to get married. 179 tax provisions take marital status into an account. If you're an LGBT family with children and you're not the biological parent or the adoptive parent of that child, you cannot get earned income tax credit, head of household status, or child tax credit. And let's also look at the Social Security. There's 3 examples here. You have family number 1, a married husband and wife who are both the biological parent to a child. The husband dies. They're eligible for surviving child benefits and for surviving parent benefits. The family number 2, it's a lesbian couple with a child. The biological parent of the child dies. They are eligible for surviving child benefits, but they are not eligible for surviving parent benefits because that second parent was possibly denied adoption. Then there's family number 3. This is a lesbian couple with a child. The parent who died was not the biological or adoptive parent, but was the main income source for this family. That family is not eligible for surviving child benefits, and it's not eligible for surviving parent benefits. Then we also have the Family and Medical Leave Act. Now this guarantees family and medical leave to employees to care for parents, children, or spouses, but it currently does not provide leave for domestic partners or their families. And I believe that family and medical leave should be a benefit for all American workers. Talk about the immigration law. Immigration law does not allow lesbian or gay citizens or lesbian or gay permanent residents to petition for their same-sex partners to immigrate. Federal workers, there's employee benefits, there's marital status affects over 270 provisions. So that means no health benefits are given to same-sex partners of federal workers. And as far as COBRA, that's not given to partners of same-sex couples. So you see, it is much more than just a religious scare tactic that is being used against the LGBT citizens. And I am grateful that our President, Barack Obama, is a decent human being. He is the only president that has said that DOMA is wrong and unconstitutional. I am not a second-class citizen. I am your sister, and I'm standing with you today, and I'm asking you to take a stand. Vote Democrat. Raise your voice up for fairness in the workforce, against hate crimes, and against denying people their federal rights.
Yeah.
Georgia deserves better, the LGBT people deserve better, and together we can make a difference no matter who it is that we love.